Hey everyone, welcome back to What If History Here. Today we're asking a question that would blow every artist's mind. What if Vincent van Gogh, one of the most tortured and brilliant artists in history, had access to Adobe Photoshop? Digital brushes, infinite canvas, undo button, layers, everything. Could he have changed art history forever? Don't forget to subscribe, because this is going to get beautifully insane. Let's dive in. Part 1, the tortured artist goes digital, okay? So let's talk about Vincent van Gogh for a second. This man was a genius, but his life was absolutely tragic. He struggled with mental illness, poverty, and was completely unrecognized during his lifetime. He sold exactly one painting while he was alive. One. Van Gogh painted over 900 works in just 10 years. That's insane productivity. But here's the thing, he was limited by physical materials. Paint was expensive. Canvases cost money he didn't have. Every brushstroke was permanent. Every mistake meant starting over or trying to paint over it. Now imagine giving this man Photoshop. Suddenly, materials are infinite. He can experiment without wasting paint. The undo button means he can try crazy ideas without fear of ruining the canvas. Layers let him build complexity he could only dream of. But here's what really changes everything. Speed. In our timeline, the Starry Night took him weeks to complete. With digital tools, he could create multiple versions in a day. Test different color palettes instantly. Try compositions he'd never risk with physical paint. Van Gogh's limitation was never talent or imagination, it was resources and time. Digital art removes both barriers. And honestly, I think he would have exploded with creativity, because the man who painted the stars with such emotion would have absolutely loved the ability to manipulate light and color with unlimited freedom. Art 2, Impressionism meets NFT era. Alright, so here's where this gets really wild. Imagine the Starry Night as an NFT. Yeah, I'm going there. In our timeline, Van Gogh died thinking he was a failure. His paintings are now worth hundreds of millions. The Museum of Modern Art owns the Starry Night, and it's priceless. But Van Gogh never saw a penny from any of this. But in this alternate timeline with Photoshop and digital art, Van Gogh could have minted his masterpieces as NFTs. He owns the rights. He gets royalties from every resale. Suddenly, the starving artist isn't starving anymore. Starry Night NFT number 001 drops on OpenSea in 1889. The art world loses its mind. People are bidding insane amounts. And here's the beautiful part, Van Gogh can create editions. Original digital file is unique, but he can sell prints at different price points, democratizing art. But wait, there's more. With Photoshop, Van Gogh isn't limited to still images. He could create animated versions. Imagine the Starry Night, but the stars are actually swirling in real time. The cypress tree gently moving. The village lights flickering. Digital art brings his emotional style to life. And you know what? I think this actually saves his mental health. Because so much of Van Gogh's depression came from feeling like a failure, like nobody understood his art. But if the digital art world embraced him, if people were buying his NFTs and telling him his work mattered, maybe he doesn't cut off his ear. Maybe he lives longer. Maybe art history changes completely. Part 3, the art world revolution. Okay, so if Van Gogh goes digital, the entire art world has to adapt. And honestly, it would probably freak out. Imagine it's 1889 and Van Gogh shows up to the Paris Salon with a laptop. The judges are like, "Where's the canvas? Where's the paint?" And he's like, "It's digital art. It lives on the computer." They would have no idea what to do with this. Traditional artists would be threatened. That's not real art. Anyone can click undo. Where's the skill? The debate we're having today about digital art versus traditional art, it starts 130 years earlier. But here's what's really interesting. Van Gogh's expressionist style is perfect for digital. His bold colors, dramatic brushstrokes, emotional intensity, all of that translates beautifully to digital painting. He might actually start a whole new movement, digital impressionism. Other artists see what Van Gogh is doing and want in. Monet gets a Wacom tablet.
Cézanne downloads Procreate.
Suddenly, the entire Impressionist movement goes digital. Art schools start teaching digital techniques in 1890. And galleries? Oh man, galleries panic. Because how do you display digital art in 1889? They'd have to invent screens, projectors, digital frames 100 years early. The whole infrastructure of the art world gets disrupted. But you know what the most revolutionary part is? Art becomes accessible. Poor kids in the future can learn digital art without expensive oil paints. Van Gogh, who suffered because he couldn't afford materials, accidentally creates a more democratic art world. And honestly, that's the most Van Gogh thing ever. Part 5. What this means for artists today. So what can we actually learn from this crazy thought experiment? First, tools don't make the artist. Van Gogh with Photoshop is still Van Gogh. His genius isn't in the paintbrush. It's in his vision, his emotion, his unique way of seeing the world. Give 100 people Photoshop, only one creates the Starry Night. Second, accessibility matters. Van Gogh struggled because art materials were expensive. Today, anyone with a computer can create digital art. That's actually incredible. How many modern Van Goghs exist right now who couldn't afford traditional art school but learned digital art for free on YouTube? Third, the digital versus traditional debate is pointless. It's not about the medium, it's about the message. Van Gogh painted emotions, not just landscapes. Whether that's with oil paint or pixels doesn't change the art itself. And here's the really beautiful thing. We're living in the timeline Van Gogh would have dreamed of. Digital art tools exist. Artists can sell work as NFTs and keep the rights. You can reach global audiences without gallery gatekeepers. The barriers that destroyed Van Gogh's life? They're gone, so maybe the question isn't, what if Van Gogh had Photoshop? Maybe it's, what are today's digital artists doing with the tools Van Gogh never had? Because right now, someone is creating the next Starry Night on an iPad. Someone is painting emotions digitally that will move people 100 years from now. And Van Gogh, if he could see this, I think he'd be smiling. The tools changed, but the heart of art, that stays exactly the same. All right, everyone, that's our journey through a world where Van Gogh went digital. If you enjoyed this artistic alternate history, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Next time, we're asking, what if Cleopatra had Instagram? Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. Thanks for watching What If History Here, and I'll see you in the next timeline.